My name is Chris Claremont. You're watching Omni X-Men.
What is up, guys? Justin here, aka No Good Comics, and welcome back to the channel. Yes, tonight is another Omni X-Men show. We are breaking down issue number 181 from the volume 4 of Chris Claremont's Uncanny X-Men. Excited to dive back into another issue. If you guys are new, we're here every Tuesday, 9 o'clock Eastern. And of course, when I say we, it is not just me. It is my co-host and good friend, John, from John's Comics with Kids. John.
Whoa. We got some dragons. We're doing D&D tonight, right?
Yeah. You're a couple days off there, John.
Darn it. All right.
Not Sunday.
I just saw dragons and I was like, this is awesome. I got my dice. I'm ready.
Got all excited. Dude, man, good to have you back. Hope you been having a good end of the year. Can't believe we're through December now. It's halfway through. Kind of crazy. But
it's crazy. Absolutely bonkers.
Yeah. So interesting stuff tonight. I know we have a lot to talk about, especially because this stuff kind of ties into Secret Wars, which we'll talk about here in just a moment. But before we go any further, let's bring in our guest, another great friend of ours, our good friend Chris, aka I Got Issues. What's up, Chris?
What's going on?
Chris always says yes.
Channel.
When we ask him to do stuff, Chris is always like, yeah, sure, I'll do it. But then he's always like, I can tell he regrets it later.
Yeah, always. Like usually like 45 minutes before, I'm like,
I notice you're on social media a lot more the day we do one of these.
I have to be. Got to get myself prepped for interaction.
That's right.
With the world, But how can I say no? X-Men 181, first appearance of Wolverine, I think, right?
You got it. Yeah. It's Poison Ivy.
Damn it. I always get those confused.
Well, we appreciate you, brother, coming on. For those who don't know Chris, certainly recommend following him. I put his information in the description below. Same thing with John. Make sure you're following him because we will be back on John's channel at 9 o'clock Eastern next Tuesday to jump into 182. Also want to remind everybody to stick around after the show. As usual, we will be doing our Q&A, our trivia, based on last episode and last issue. So make sure you stay around for that after we break this issue down. You can get your name on the board and win some really cool stuff at the end of the season, which is going to be around the May-June area of 2024. So, other than that, let's take a quick look at the chat. And then we'll jump into some things. We got, of course, JP talking about, you guys need to start an hour early. I mean, it's not a bad idea, right? But JP, then I would probably still make it work out to go to like 11 or something like that. And because Chris is here, we're going to make it go even longer. So,
I like to talk.
It's going to be a long night.
Yeah.
We're breaking down all 12 issues of this book.
The
Secret Wars. So just, be ready. We got Ryan Magic Lasso in the chat. What is going on, Ryan? Good to see you as always. John, Big Daddy Ross just recently had him on the channel hanging out with us. Good to see you, John. Let's see. JP says, for years I have given John trouble for beginning to think Justin is the real culprit. Believe what you want, man. You might be right. Yeah, you might be right. We got Roy Kirk in the chat. What is going on, Jackson Roy Kirk? We also got Adam from Adam Makes Stuff Up. Hello. Let's see. We got our good friend Candace hanging out with us as well. Hope you're doing well, Candace. Let's see. Scrolling through. Yes. Oh, dude, Chris, remember the panda? Remember that panda?
I do.
Yeah.
It's around here somewhere.
Anytime someone says I got issues, that's the image I picture. And we got Couchin' and Slouchin' hanging out with us as well. Hello.
It is.
All right. So, before we get into things, I know, John, we're going to do the rapid fire you have for our guest. So if you want to kick that off, and then we'll get into some comic stuff.
Yeah. We've been lately doing 10 rapid fire yes or no lightning round X-Men related questions. So, Chris, I'm going to kick you off with, does Gambit have a tramp stamp?
Yes.
Yeah. I know you're a big sports guy, and the X-Men play a lot of sports. If they didn't use their powers, do you think the X-Men could field a decent sports team?
Yes.
Ooh, okay. I'd be excited to see what sport that would be.
Doubles tennis.
There you go.
Is there a mutant who could beat the Savage Dragon in an arm wrestling competition?
No.
I agree with that. Let's see. Is John Byrne the best X-Men artist of all time?
No.
Yes.
Ooh.
Suck on it, Chet. Suck it.
Candace said, wait, I need to look that up. What translate? Sorry, Candace, he is not allowed to explain himself.
It's an ace of spades with barbed wire around it.
Classic.
Yeah, don't look that up, Candace. Don't look that up. Is Charles Xavier a jerk?
Yes.
I'm glad that people are definitely agreeing on these. That's good. That's good to see. Would you date a telepath?
No.
No hesitation.
No hesitation on any of these. Are you kidding me? All right. Is 80s X-Men better than 90s X-Men?
No way. No way.
Ooh, good. I love it. This is hilarious. I love it. All right, I got two more for you. Let's see. Is Cyclops the best X-Men team leader?
Yes.
Ooh, there it is. There it is.
I take.
JP, where you at, man?
Let's see here. Is it better to join the X-Men than the Justice League?
Probably not.
You got to deal with all kind of racist folks, right? You're
just
adored
in terms
if
of
you're
like,
a Justice
in terms of death tally, I think
or that. Yeah.
Every X-Men character has died significantly more than the Justice League characters combined.
I love it. Well, there you go, man. You survived 10 rapid fire X-Men questions.
It's a lot safer than I thought it was going to
be. I threw a couple of specific ones just for you in there.
I figured that the Savage Dragon one was very
I like some of the new ones that you had in there. Yeah. JP said, "I just lost."
You need to add like hot wings into this portion. Like,
make spicy food while you do it.
So you're like crying and you can't think straight.
You don't touch your face. Don't touch your face.
Yeah, and then someone asks you a tough question and you go like this.
And then it's all done.
Coming soon, season 5.
Yeah, right. I send you the hot wings by like Uber Eats or something.
Yeah, we totally can make it happen.
JP, I forgive you for being wrong.
I love it.
All right,
Awesome.
So we have before we get into the issue, I know we're talking about X-Men 181, but because of where we left off from last issue and kind of the oddness of it, especially if you had never read during this time period, which I haven't, this is all like newer to me, wondering where they went, where the team left off and everything else. John, you had mentioned last time and even just before Secret Wars. So if we want to go into that first, just as a little side segment, John, you want me to play the video first before you?
Yeah, it's just 60 seconds of like, if people are completely unfamiliar with Secret Wars, just a quick 60-second thing.
Well, it's actually gonna be an hour because I'm gonna play it 60 times. So
perfect. Go.
But there we go.
Do you remember the original Secret Wars? Let's talk about it. The original Marvel event with Jim Shooter at the helm and Mike Zeck on the art brings together some of the best heroes and villains of Marvel for one epic battle. A powerful god known as the Beyonder decides he wants to play Gladiator. He brings them all together and then creates the ultimate battleground. The powerful god decides to create a planet just for these battles. Battleworld is built from all these fragments of other planets, and it's where all the big fights go down. But what does this mean for our mutant characters? Much more interesting. Not really considered good guys or bad guys at this point in Marvel, this makes for some interesting are they enemies or are they friends storylines. The most compelling drama has to do with Colossus, who finds a love interest who sacrifices her life for him. Poor Colossus is never quite the same after this tragedy. Also, Kitty's dragon friend Lockheed has a friend of his own. But what'll it mean when they come back?
Nicely done. Nicely done.
Now, I did leave out a little element of who is the leader of the X-Men, which is kind of an ongoing thing at this phase in the story anyways. But Xavier kind of takes over as battle commander for the team, despite Cyclops also magically appearing, even though he didn't go through the portal that we saw. So those three together, Storm, Cyclops, Xavier, have a sort of uneasy team up going on here as leader. Magneto's also there, but he doesn't really seem to play much of a factor except, trying to bang the Wasp. That's about it. Chris, though, I know that you had been looking into some of the oddities of the publication system behind Secret Wars. Did you want to share some of the thoughts on the publication of those issues?
Yeah, back when I read Secret Wars for the first time was obviously after it had originally came out, because these books we're reading right now came out in 1984, which coincidentally is the same year that I came out of the womb. So I didn't read them off the shelf, and so I read them much later and kind of didn't have an attachment to the shelf date, publication date. But issue 1 of Secret Wars came out the same month as the issue that we're covering tonight.
Yeah.
So in issue 180, they go through the little portal in Central Park and they end up in Secret Wars. And then Secret Wars ran from May of 84 until April of 85. So in April of 85, they completed that story arc. We're transported back to we're supposed to be transported back to Central Park, right? And then, but somehow we're reading that today in issue 181, which came out 4 weeks after issue 180 in May of 84. So the timeline of it, if you were alive then buying these books off the shelf, would have probably been supremely confusing.
Well, on top of which, how many videos and things have you seen on over the years on the Spider-Man black suit reveal and how weird that reveal was? Because obviously it's in corner box art and it's in little split images here and there. And then all of a sudden, it's everywhere, but we haven't even seen how he got it yet, because that issue is still 8 months away from the first issue of Secret Wars.
Yeah, just so weird, man.
Yeah.
Such a weird way to do stuff. And there's so many little idiosyncrasies where you just wonder, this idea that editorial and people are not always on the same page is not a new phenomenon in entertainment at all.
And I really think that the Shooter v. Claremont stuff in particular, you can see Claremont was like, you do whatever you want. I'll write you that one page, but I'm continuing my story my way. And Shooter's like, no, I'm gonna do whatever I want. And he just tells his story indiscriminately of anything Claremont had going. So there's a lot of little question mark stuff. And I'm very curious, Justin, because this was your first time and you cracked into this tome and got about a third of the way through it. Thoughts, feelings.
So definitely exciting, the idea of this, and I haven't finished it yet. I read the first 4 issues just going up in the last hour or so before we jumped on. And I know this is something that people have told me, it's considered just a classic read. Probably any Marvel fan should probably read it. And I've always been planning to. Obviously, I have the book, and it's just always been putting it aside. I'll get to it. And I never considered how they took time to tie it into these books, which, as I'm hearing now, they really didn't consider it that well or do a good job. But reading what I've read so far, I love the idea of it. Basically, I think as Justin from last week said, a bunch of our favorite superheroes just mashed into one, and just seeing everybody in one issue is a lot of fun. But with that, I didn't know where all the stories were taking place. I see that they take time to string along these little stories of where they left off from their own single issues here and there. So as we were talking back behind stage and what Chris pointed out, there is a ton of just text, just a ton of writing in this, and a lot of it probably not as needed as, even going to today's, modern writing, but just I know Claremont stuff is a bit wordy too, but it's just a lot, because you're meeting characters that you may not know, which I get. They could be introducing a new character to somebody else that doesn't know about it, or they explain a lot of detail with or a little bit of detail with the Hulk and why he can speak normal and not be screaming all the time and all that. So they go into some details and why some of them are sad. I know like Mr. Fantastic is sad he doesn't have Sue Storm with him and all this other stuff. So
or why Iron Man's black. A lot of people, if people go up and grab this off the shelf and don't realize the chronology that Rhodey is the one wearing the Iron Man armor at this time.
Yes.
There's even a moment when he's fixing it and one of the other guys is like, "You're black? I didn't know that." There's lots of those little fun idiosyncrasies all the way along.
Yeah. Quick hello, by the way, to Kenneth Bird in the chat. Hello. The chat's been awesome, by the way. Trying to highlight your guys' stuff as I'm doing this, but it's a really great comments throughout.
And Candace, thanks Chris for answering Candace. She was asking about the three. There's obviously Secret Wars 2, and then the Hickman event later on. Yeah. And Chris is he's your man. He's got it there. But everybody's got their this. I'm nostalgia goggles heavy when it comes to the original because I just read the daylights out of it and had all the action figures and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. But I recognize the flaws, and I'm sure Justin's going to give us some of the juice here on that. Well, I keep waiting for the guns to come out.
All right, so yeah, like one of the things that I texted John earlier, a little bit of a rant on what I had gone through just from the first 2 issues that I read, and even more so as I get into it, in the third and fourth, is how ridiculous Doom is as like a character. Like he is so full. So the way the person he reminds me of is the and I'm bringing in Toy Story reference here. Toy Story, when Buzz Lightyear, when the new Buzz Lightyear comes out, and the original Buzz is like trying to explain to him all this stuff, and if anyone knows what I'm talking about, the new Buzz comes in and he like still believes he's like not just a toy or whatever. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? And they like open up his mask and he thinks he can't breathe and all this stuff. And like Woody's like, dude, you're fine. Like, and I just feel like that's who Doom was in this, because he's
Buzz Lightyear.
Yes, and he's so much like so unrealistic to everything. Like he's just so about himself. Like he even he's you get beamed to this unknown planet, and like one of the first things he does is create his own like house, like his own whatever you call it, like what do you call it? Yeah, kind of, but like
his little Doom castle.
Yeah, like a Doom castle. Like he doesn't even consider like, how do I get home? How do any of these other things don't cross his mind? He's like, I'm gonna make this thing my own. He also there's a part in the beginning that Galactus attempts to go after the Beyonder, and clearly it doesn't work out. And he doesn't care of the significance of the fact that Galactus was just put in his place by this godlike being, and afterwards he's just like trying to scheme some other ways around, and that's where he finds this Doom lair. And even when he goes to the Doom lair, there's like some big trap or something that goes on. He's like, whoever made this, they have some pretty good technology. Like obviously they have good technology. Like he's just like, so he's impressed. He's like, wow, this place is not badly built. It's pretty good. Like he's shocked, and I'm just like, dude, so it's things like that just really got me like,
the core of the story is God puts the heroes and villains against each other, and Dr. Doom's like, no, I'm gonna kill God. That's like the entire plot of Secret Wars. His ego is so big that he's like, I'm not gonna fight those guys. I fight them all the time. Let me fight the God. Like I'm gonna kill that guy.
Which is the one way that it is similar to the 2015 Secret Wars, because the premise of that one is Doom basically saying, I am God.
Yeah, he's become God. Yeah.
Yeah. So
there you go. The Toy Story reference is coming to play here. He's ridiculous, and he's living in his own little world, and like doesn't, I don't know.
It's only a fantasy world like Buzz if he doesn't have the stones to pull it off.
Right. Yeah.
If he pulls it off, then you got to be like, okay, he was right. Doom was right.
True. And I'm only, like I said, I'm only, through issue 4, and to a little, clarification. I haven't read much Doom just in general. So like, I don't.
He's that ego. He is that egotistical.
Right. Like I got a little taste of that, when we read about him and Storm and all this stuff. And even then he was pretty ridiculous, in those.
Well, I think you read the FF X-Men 4-issue mini, right? Where he was like taking Reed Richards' kids to Latveria to hide him out.
I didn't read it, but I know a little bit about it. Yeah.
Because he's pretty hilarious in that too.
Gosh.
Yeah. The narcissism of the character is one thing that has been constant for eternity.
A long time. Yeah.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
love
that never changes, and I don't think it ever will.
Well, and one of the things I was like really intrigued was in one of the moments I was reading was when him and Magneto like kind of first go at it, and I'm like they're both in certain ways very similar, and I just feel like, you know, and to even just trying to outsmart each other and everything else, and they're obviously both very powerful. I would love to just see, and maybe that happens in this, I don't know, but like I would love to see them, you know, go more toe to toe.
I know he does go toe to toe with a couple of villains at different points. Yeah, so you'll have to stick. You have to finish it.
I'm definitely gonna read more. Yeah. Anyways, that's my little rant. But yeah, I did get a little bit on with some of the general, you know, story arc and what you were mentioning with.
How about the Hulk catching a mountain?
Oh yeah, that was great, and it explains the cover too. I was wondering,
that cover is so good.
When I saw that cover,
an ouchie on his leg.
Yeah, that was great, and also the fact that the X-Men get their asses kicked multiple times within the first couple of issues. Yeah. Spider-Man, Wasp, they
for
take
me
them out.
Goes to I think the fact that Jim Shooter didn't care about the X-Men and didn't want to have to do much with them, and so he didn't put much thought and effort into how they're used in the series. They're kind of other than Colossus, who obviously has this romance story arc, they're not used particularly well, and then they get their butts handed to them a bunch.
I don't want to slander your favorite characters on the Omni X-Men show, but they're very used to getting their asses kicked. Yeah. I mean, that's not. I just picked up an X-Men book like a couple months ago for like the first time in like 2 years, and everyone got murdered in the first like 12 pages. Everyone.
That Hellfire Gala was buck wild.
Yeah, and I was like, oh my god, everyone's dead. Everyone's dead. Everyone's dead.
But admittedly, there was a lot of like Jubilee-esque characters that could go.
Okay, I mean that's fair. Listen, not to digress, but the team they put together, I wasn't like sad. They got exploded. But still, the X-Men got pretty polished.
I love that. That's the one you picked up. That's great.
I know. I was like, what is up with this? Let me look at it.
Everybody's talking about it.
Right.
Yeah. Now you know.
Yeah, exactly.
So there you go. That's basically what goes down in Secret Wars, and then our characters. This is the issue now, even though it happened, 11 months earlier than them actually coming back. This is when they return. Oh, and Reed Richards is the one to return them. He's got this device, and when he zaps the X-Men, it does seem to malfunction and makes a strange sound, which might explain the return that we end up getting here.
Yeah, JP, I told you we're gonna play that John video another 59 times, and then
you got it coming.
You gotta just hang out. Hey, Roscoe in the chat.
Roscoe, I was on with Roscoe drawing last night. Nice. Drawing robots together. So
all right,
thanks for having me, Roscoe.
Great artist too.
He is amazing.
All right, I'm gonna bring. All right, so we could jump into the issue then here, right? I'm gonna bring this up.
Let's do it.
And we'll go from here. So right off the bat, obviously we have this cool dragon on dragon type of cover here. Want to get your guys' general thoughts on the cover. So John, I'll pass it to you first.
I mean, I don't have huge issues with it, but it's not a favorite at all. It's a weird close up. The young dragons in love. I don't know that I needed that on there. I do think it's hilarious that the X-Men like lounging on the trade dress is maybe my favorite part. I mean, look at Storm. She's like in a recliner. She's just chilling. I'm surprised Wolverine's not drinking a beer. That's about the only thing I think is missing up there.
Even the way Colossus is like posing. He's like in this like pose.
Yeah. So not a favorite cover of mine. I like the concept and I do like the trade dress, but it's not a big winner for me.
It's fair. Chris, what about you? What are your thoughts on the cover?
Yeah, it's pretty accurate. Xavier looks like One Punch Man over there.
Nice. I just started reading that, by the way.
And I agree too. Like the whole young dragons in love, but he's like fire blasting him in the eyeball.
That's how they kiss.
Yeah, it's not fitting. It is weird, man. Like I don't know. The first time I saw the cover, like, was just in passing, so I didn't notice how weird it was. Like when I picked this issue, Like I didn't remember the issue at all. I was just like, all right, it's got a dragon on it. And then when I actually went in to read it in Unlimited, and that's the first thing I thought when I looked at the top. I'm like, what? Like it's like a chibi cover for like a little kid's Japanese book.
It's a manga.
Yeah, which I guess makes sense because they're in Japan for the whole.
I mean, right?
It's true. It's true. JP said, "Why are they on the trade dress? Since when did they do that, or is that a one-off?" Yeah, I mean, they definitely. I don't recall them really doing that.
You're never gonna get casual Xavier in the box corner art ever again, so don't worry.
Yeah. I'm with you guys. I don't really care too much for this cover. I feel like it just on paper, if someone explained and said, "Hey, we need this really cool dragon cover and another dragon like shooting it," like I don't know, like there could be a lot of opportunity there to make something, really, really cool. And I just feel like I don't know, this might have been even just like a bit of a lazy way out of it to just draw a real zoomed in version or something. But that's really it. I actually didn't really even notice the people until like we had gotten to this issue and I started to read it. So I mean, I've seen this cover before, but really more at a distance. I feel like I've never really taken the time to stare closely at it.
I mean, it's also a cover that you could easily confuse as not being an X-Men book because the trade dress is half covered and it's like dragons all over the front and you got a guy in a weird yellow suit in the corner. Like it would be easy to skip this and be like, "Where's the new X-Men issue?"
Yeah. Well, he really does look like One Punch Man. That's good. That's good. He needs the red gloves, though, right? I think they're red. All right, let's keep this going. So we'll jump into it. Oh, look, it's a bird, it's a plane, we're going into Superman. Tokyo story. We get this awesome looking dragon here across the 2 pages, the spread page, along with some other stories where the kids are basically in awe, trying to figure out which monster this could be. They're going through their monster book and don't really recognize what this could be. And then, of course, on that last panel there, we see a little glimpse of light where the team is being dropped out or dropped from the dragon. What are your thoughts here, John, on just this opening scene?
It's a weird way to start this issue. I mean, I know they want to just throw us in the deep end and make us feel uneasy about what's going on, but it's like, it's just not working really well for me. And then the perspective it feels like they ran out of room to fit the dragon into that drawing when we first see him. Like he feels kind of squished in there. Yeah. And the perspective is odd because the people look like they're looking away from him and the dragon's closer to us. So they look like they're looking somewhere else pointing at a dragon. So I just can't. Yeah, it's an oddity. I get again, I understand the goal here. It's just not working.
Yeah, that's fair. Chris, what about you? Were you disappointed when you found out it wasn't Superman?
Somewhat, yes, which is not common for me. But yeah, I mean, it starts off kind of weird, and that's even if you don't know the background, but if you are coming. Well, I guess like I said, this is another one of those weird things where, like, if you pick this up off the shelf, you're probably only slightly confused. But if you read Secret Wars first again, and then you pick this up, I think you'd be less confused about why there's a big dragon, but more confused about how we got to this point still. It's like just like what John said about that disconnect between Claremont and Shooter and just sort of being like, all right, well, you had this stupid dragon come through this portal with them, and I want them to be in Japan. So I guess we'll just make it happen like this. And,
Yep.
I mean,
yes,
ultimately, like, it's not like any of the other guys had this problem, right? Spider-Man comes right back into New York City and he's just fine.
Yep. Right where he left off. Hey, we got
Albert
in the chat. What's up, Albert? I think this might be the worst X-Men cover I've ever seen. Yeah, I mean,
you gotta. Yeah, there's some bad ones out there, man.
I hear there's a Cassidy cover going around currently.
Yeah,
people are not happy about. But anyways, we won't get into that.
I could draw a better cover than that.
Hey, we got Tony. Well, good to see you, brother.
Good to see you, bud.
All right, let's keep this going. So after that, we see them all hit the ground, and the kids are all in awe because they recognize that it's the X-Men. As they finally stand up and kind of gather themselves, they figure out that they're in Japan, and they're accounting for almost everybody. They notice that Cyclops is not with them, but yeah, they reference the idea that they were somewhere else from where they had left off from last issue. Again, for anyone who had not read Secret Wars, this is kind of all they give you. They don't, give much detail in terms of any type of explanation or even spoilers of to what happened at that time or anything. So, which I guess
because they
guess
probably didn't know.
That's true. Yes, that's right. Since it was only like 4 weeks after. No, that's fair. And then of course, as they kind of remind you of where they left off, they're concerned for Kitty Pryde because they promised that they'd kind of keep an eye on her, and now all this time had gone by. She's off, in Massachusetts with Douglas Ramsey, and now they ask for Rogue to go, I should specify that Professor X is the one who's kind of giving orders here at the moment, and telling Rogue to go check on both Cyclops and Kitty Pryde to make sure that they're all right. Meanwhile, Rogue asks if Storm should go, and she says no, I should be here with the team. And then there's a lot of thoughts going on that right page where even Professor X kind of realizes, wow, I'm giving a lot of orders here, and it's probably confusing the team, and I'm probably stepping on the toes of Storm. I don't know if, why I'm maybe it's because I've got my legs back or whatever it is that I'm taking over. And then meanwhile, Wolverine kind of thinks the same thing, that he's maybe stepping on some toes. Chris, I'm going to start with you first. What are your thoughts here on just some of the guidance of what Professor Xavier is doing with the team, and is he out of place here? Should he, or you think it's just because he's still off the high of the Secret Wars stuff?
I mean, I'm not saying it's not justifiable, but I think it goes into when John started us off by asking if Professor X is a jerk, and yeah, I mean sometimes he is. There's you can be in charge of things in certain aspects, but you still have to understand that doesn't mean you're always in charge of things. Right. You run the school and you run the classroom and maybe you give advice, but once these guys are in the field, it's the CEO of McDonald's runs McDonald's, but he can't seamlessly walk into a McDonald's and run the restaurant, right? It's just not the way it works. And at some point, if you build a good team, part of being a good leader, a good coach, a good whatever, is letting your players play, letting your people do what you've assigned them to do. So if you put your faith in whether it be Cyclops or Storm to lead the team, just because you're there doesn't mean that you take that away. And while he kind of recognizes that, he also sort of jerkishly is like, I don't know if I want to not do that though. I'm the boss and I'm good at it. So it's weird, but I like the fact that the team, specifically Rogue, just straight up kind of ignores him though. Yeah. He says all this stuff, and then Rogue is just straight up yeah, Storm, you're the boss. What should I do?
Yeah, confirm. Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, she's being, as newer member on the team, she kind of recognizes who she's following right after. And yeah, good point. Some great comments here. Oh wait, where's his other one? They realized Cyclops didn't come back with them. They all celebrated. And Old was saying that he's a touchy prick. John, what about you? Anything to add there? And
no, I mean, Chris got it. I think it's funny though that everybody's worried about how Storm is going to take this emotionally, and we get a ton of people thinking and nothing of what Storm's thinking. Not a single thought bubble to how Storm is taking the way he's treating her, but we do get Xavier with his thought bubbles, and Logan gets 2 panels of thought bubbles. So many thought bubbles he's having, but none to let us in on what Storm might be thinking with this. But I do like to Chris's point, how the team backs her, right? I mean, Wolverine and Rogue both call it at least in their minds, questioning this new battlefield version of Xavier.
Yeah. One other thing too, love that far panel Storm there with the yellow background. Awesome. All right, let's keep it going. So then we flash over to the war room of the National Command Center in Japan, where they first see on their radar that this dragon now, even though the dragon dropped off the X-Men, is now going and essentially terrorizing the city. And so they immediately are getting their tanks ready, their planes, and then we get Mariko, Wolverine's almost wife, at one point, where we know that from where we left off with her, she's kind of running things in Japan, and trying to keep her honor there with her family name, her family legacy, and of course doesn't want to get too close to Wolverine again. But I have to bring this into play real quick before I go any further. So a couple interesting things here on these panels. One, I love how this guy is just like, just what the world needs, another monster. Why us? Why couldn't it have attacked Los Angeles? He just throws LA under the bus completely, not caring for anyone in LA. And then afterwards, Mariko is questioned by this guy on the right, Shiro. Says perhaps no, he says, oh yeah, perhaps you also may be of use. He goes, is your concern for the homeland, Mariko, or for your Cajun lover? And she's just like, don't question me. Who are you? Like, this guy, we don't see it, but he's dead now.
He's dead at the end of the day.
He's no longer with us. Yeah. That not something you want to do with Mariko. But anyways, the dragon starts to essentially lands on one of the buildings. Everything starts to demolish. The team there in the middle, they regroup and plan out what each of them have to do. And then on this far right page, you get a really cool segment of each of them having their own plan, essentially, that based on what Storm had recommended for everybody. So Colossus there is trying to hit all the debris that's falling from the buildings. You have Storm, who's sending stuff using her weather powers, the rocks and everything, and then you have Nightcrawler bamfing all of those that he can grab out of harm's way. And then for those who are less fortunate, Professor X is trying to help with Wolverine to sort that out and find some of those missing people. John, I'll start with you and just pass it back about what you think of just seeing the teamwork here. Storm kind of doing her thing, Professor X kind of off to the side, after these other panels here, kind of let her do her thing.
There's lots to get into here. I do love Jackson Roy Kirk. Yeah, it is convenient that the woman who was told like she couldn't pick her own husband, like women don't have any importance and value. You gotta just marry. And now she's running Clan Yoshida, and she's like in the middle of the war room. Like, how is this rise to power? Can somebody explain this?
Yeah,
is she like calling the missile strike down? It's amazing this journey that she's on.
Yeah.
And I've never seen Storm carry 4 characters in her wind like that before. That's really impressive, especially Colossus in his metal form. Like, that's a lot of weight. But the action poses, Colossus looking badass, his drop to the ground, his baseball bat move, really some cool art pieces for sure.
Yeah. Oh, look at John with the sports references. Chris, I'll pass it over to you. Anything to add there for some of these panels going on?
Only thing I was going to add is I thought, I could be mistaken, but the reason why this guy is such a jerk is Shiro Yoshida is Sunfire.
Is that him next to her?
Oh, is that him?
Yeah. That's why.
Oh, crud.
Yeah.
That makes sense. He is a jerk. So, okay.
And they're also related, which is why he feels comfortable kind of like talking back to her a little bit. Like, oh, what's your concern? Your lover or,
Right. Wait, I don't think I realized that they were related.
I didn't realize that was Shiro. That was him.
Sunfire is Shiro Yoshida. So I think that they're like cousins or something.
Oh my gosh. Failure in reading. See, jeez. Chris nailing it.
Dude, I don't even think from like covering it in the past with Sunfire that we ever crossed that path or mentioned that.
I don't know that it came up in that sense in terms of reading Omni X-Men. I just know like a little bit about they're just from, he's a Japanese character. I like the,
Right. Yeah.
No, he's a jerk. He's a
he's a giant size X-Men OG new teamer.
Yeah, he is. He is. That's and he will continue to be the rest of this issue.
Hey, we got Chet in the chat. Chet, dude, you didn't tell us this stuff, man. Come on.
He just finally jumped in.
Yeah, no. All right, let's keep this going. Then we have so Professor X Storm calls to Professor X, says, why don't you try to to talk to the dragon and see how that goes and figure out what's going on. Professor X starts to go into the mind of the dragon, understands that the dragon's not actually like angry, and if anything is just kind of living life, and then is wondering why everybody else is like freaking out. So but then in doing that, the dragon then thinks that Professor X is like attacking it, like with a side blast of some sort. So then it reacts to that and attempts to take out Professor X. And then of course that's when we get Sunfire, who shows up to somewhat save the day. Doesn't quite save the day for Professor X, as the stuff still falls on him afterwards. But as he shows up, of course the army, the tanks, and the planes and everything come firing at the dragon. But for the team to discover, it really doesn't do anything here. John, any thoughts here with just seeing Sunfire come in? Do you think he took long enough? Should he have kind of?
I mean, I'm always reminded that he's got a pretty badass costume. His costume is pretty dope. It's a cool look, and it fits him perfectly, like the design of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I love that. Firstly, that Storm's giving Xavier orders. hey, I'm the team leader. I'm the captain now. You use your power. Try to stop the dragon. So yeah, I like all of that. But clearly they're way in over their heads at this moment.
Oh yeah. Chris, what do you think about Sunfire thinking he saves the day by blowing up that debris, and yet most of it still falls on Professor X?
I mean, the guy's consistent, you know.
Yeah. Well said. Well said. Got to give him credit.
So there's something admirable about just being yourself, I guess. At the end of the day, you
got to be true.
He doesn't. He doesn't put up a front. That's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason why he didn't make the cut. Post Giants time.
Right. That's right.
It's not a mystery. He just he shows it off a lot. It's his powers. He's a hothead, and he's brash, and he thinks he's the best of the best. And yeah, I mean, a bonehead move like that makes perfect sense. You know, this is pretty funny to me. Like, just the fact that this issue takes place in Japan, and there's all this like military presence, even though we know that that's like not a thing in Japan at all.
Like, they always fight Godzilla with stuff, right?
It's a little
entertainment,
Yeah.
Just silly when you think about it through that lens. That's all.
Of course.
Yeah.
Notice I'm like, yeah, they probably don't even have like a military command center.
It's definitely overkill.
U.S. military base. That's
right. All right. And as you were describing Sunfire, Chris, I just started to think more about Doom. I feel like those two guys would kind of, well, actually, they probably wouldn't get along.
No,
but, the fact that they each think that I would like to see them in a room together.
Too much the same.
Drinking buddies.
Yeah. We'd love to see them at a Christmas party run into each other.
Yeah, just like one up each other the whole night.
Yeah, the entire night. Yeah. Throw some Magneto one-ups in there. That'd be great. All right, let's keep it going. We'll flash over to back to Tahiti, right? Where Cyclops lands and finally gets back to Madeline Pryor, who is like furious but also happy at the same time, because she's like, where the hell were you? And he's like, listen, I want to have a normal life, but it's just not the case. I can't give that to you, but I'm here now, so let's just get back to our celebrating. We can have someone take more pictures of us so we could send to Professor X later. This was just a little side bit. She does forgive him. Chris, thoughts on this? I know you had talked earlier, maybe even before we went live, but just the kind of the randomness of Secret Wars tying into all this, and him kind of getting placed back, even though the rest of the team shows up in Japan.
It just feels so like nonsensical. It's just so out of place. Everybody else fell into a completely random place in their torn up uniforms, fresh from battle. Right. He falls back into like Tahiti in a bush in his Daisy Dukes. Yeah. It's like, and she's sitting there on
the midriff shirt, and
she's sitting on the stoop, and she's like, "I've been waiting over a week. Like this is I disappeared, and for a week you've been sitting in Tahiti."
She has not called She hasn't called the police. She has not looked into anything.
She could have probably flown anywhere to go look for him. Right. You didn't even go look for the X-Men to be like, guys, Cyclops is weird.
It's just one of those examples sometimes where I feel like they add stuff in that like just wasn't necessary.
Yeah.
The whole issue could have been without Cyclops at all. It's just like a throwaway page that you're just like, okay, cool. you know.
So it's like it's every day she's on her vacation and she's just like, I'm really concerned he's not around. Well, I guess I'll go have a drink for now and just hang out.
Right, exactly. Sipping Mai Tais on the beach. She's
Yeah, like what? I'll just wait until he comes.
call the life insurance company to see how long she has to wait before she can file a claim.
It's totally normal for someone to step out this long. John, anything to add here with these?
I mean, Scott's basically living his Corsair life, right? Like, I'm gonna run off to outer space and fight bad guys, and then come back, and my gal will wait for me, right? Yeah. His attitude is quite in keeping with the Summers clan.
Yep. The only thing missing here was he didn't call her Jean by accident somehow. Yeah, I feel like that should have played a part. All right, moving along. So now we have the dragon. Now that the dragon, clearly feels attacked, starts to really create winds, and as you can see, the tanks going flying, the trees almost ripping out of the ground. Storm trying to combat that and control the winds, creating kind of her own storm, but accidentally creating a tornado, as you can see in these longer wind panels that they've had added here. And as she does so, she kind of loses conscious, kind of gets knocked out. And begins to fall. Meanwhile, you have Professor X, who's waking up from all the debris that landed on him. Wolverine concerned, but he says, "Hey, don't worry, Colossus is near me. He can help me out. Keep looking for people." So Colossus runs over, clears all the debris out to save him. And meanwhile, we get Wolverine, who is discovering a mother and child under the debris. The mother gasping for life, essentially, as she essentially dies, and the baby, he swears that he'll find or make sure that the daughter's okay, or that someone will be there to take care of. I feel like now I don't know much about kind of this moment or these scenes, and from my understanding, it leads to a much deeper story down the road, something I don't really know about with Wolverine. But Chris, do you know, or if you could hash out a little bit of like what this scene kind of shows, and who this is that's coming into Wolverine's life?
Can't tell you.
No. Okay.
No.
I legit think that this does not play out in any way, in any significant manner going forward. Yeah. If someone in the chat can tell me, I'm sure chat will tell us exactly the lineage of this little kid that he's rescuing.
I really don't
but
know.
not in any way.
I legit thought.
I wasn't trying to.
That's hysterical.
I'm really not sure.
So from what I had read, I thought that this is that she ends up being like a character of some sort. I didn't read too much into it, but maybe what I read was not accurate. So I mean,
maybe in a Wolverine solo series, this is something else. I legit don't remember this kid.
Man, all right. I'm trying to find some more deeper things in this issue, but I feel like
not going so good luck with that.
Yeah, this is really like just some short-ended fight scenes here. But all right, well, let me keep going here.
Can I just say though that the part where Charles is like screaming in everyone's head that he can't feel his legs and that he's like paralyzed again. Kind of makes me chuckle a little bit. Like when I was reading it, I was thinking of like Talladega Nights and the scene where he like stabs himself in the leg because he's like he's like paralyzed.
Yeah,
like they're like, calm down.
He runs around thinking he's on fire and he's stripping his
freaking out.
Suit off.
You have rocks on your legs. We'll help you. Relax. This is why you can't be in the field, dude. Like sometimes you just gotta...
I'm burning. I'm on fire.
All right, here. So let's keep it going. So, of course, I had to throw some Godzilla stuff in here. We see Storm falling now that she's kind of fainted or passed out from the tornado she created, right in front of the dragon. Sunfire comes in and again, kind of half-ass saves the day. Like he's just not fully, he's just not fully there. But
he's got to commit.
Yeah. So he tries to shoot the dragon, doesn't really do much. The dragon backhands him. He catches Storm and takes the brunt of the fall, but the two of them together are falling. Looks pretty brutal. The kids run over to them. They're still just in the fields. I would think they should be telling the kids to run somewhere. And then out of nowhere, Lockheed comes, and this is where we get kind of the cover scene, the close up with Lockheed close to the eye of the dragon, and we learn a little bit of this what I guess was some sort of romance that happened in Secret Wars. And again, even from what I read, I haven't gotten to that part, but they had questioned the idea of like, at one point the two dragons were the same size. Now they're, back in the real world, they're not. So I don't know what the details are of that, but it seems like.
Are you fat shaming a dragon? I'm just asking.
no. One's just a little taller than the other, a little greener than the other. And so, but essentially, Lockheed just, sprays the other dragon, kind of tells her to back off. John, any thoughts here with this encounter of?
I think it's my least favorite part of the issue in general, which is that there's just not a lot of like logic or deeper understanding going on here. It's just like problems arise, they seem insurmountable, and problems are solved, and it just sort of happens, and we're just left going, all right. Yeah. But again, it feels like what you have to do if you're Chris Claremont and they're dropping this huge event in the middle of your book, and you've got to kind of like paste it together, and you're just quickly like throwing scotch tape or whatever over this to make it work. Yeah. And then so this becomes that filler to get you back and put the pieces back where they go so that you can pick it up in 182 or whatever.
Yeah, it's so weird. Next time I see Chris Claremont, this is going to be one of the things I ask is like, how did he string this along, even though this other thing was being written? I don't know, that's weird. Chris, anything to add here with Lockheed coming into play?
Yeah, I mean, I think just like, I don't want to beat a dead horse, but conceptually, like the whole issue just ends up feeling just kind of like a throwaway to me, and I think that this is like a good indicator of that as well, because it just tying it into Secret Wars and it not making any sense. So, spoiler alert, Justin, this dragon was in Secret Wars and it was the size of Lockheed. And when they were supposed to be getting zapped to get teleported back to Central Park, this dragon flew in really quickly after them. But that's still not an explanation of like how they ended up in Japan, why it's like 100 times larger when they come back to the portal. Like it just, and then the whole issue runs through to this page where we find out that like we don't know why the dragon was going a little crazy, but now like her heart is broken because Lockheed doesn't love her.
Right. Yeah.
It's weird. It's weird.
Yeah, trying to tie in this romance. Well, let's keep it going. We do get going back to the military. They notice on the blimp that or on the radar that these two dragons that were being shown up, they essentially just disappear. No explanation really as to what happened. Meanwhile, the team gathers what they have left. There's tons of destruction. Everyone's upset and angry, and they try to minimize the amount of damage as possible. But most of the damage has already been done. And then it pans over to Mariko, who looks on the news and notices that X-Men and the team, they're all okay. Wolverine's okay. She's happy to see that they're all right. But there's really not much else other than, again, it's just kind of her looking at Wolverine from a distance, kind of, remembering what was at one point. And then, of course, we get Professor X, who they ask Professor X if he could read the mind of Lockheed to get a better understanding of things. He says it might be better for Kitty to handle, communicating more, which I'm thinking this whole time, like, you guys know, you met Doug Ramsey. Could we get him involved in here somehow? Bring him in.
The New Mutants are a thing. Like there's a whole other team.
Yeah, the guy talks a lot of languages, so maybe he can talk dragon. Anyways, that's essentially it. We do get Lockheed saying the word "yeah." I don't know if that's English term, yeah, but this is the first issue that Lockheed speaks English, so that's a key for this book. Any thoughts here, Chris, on Chris, what do you think of like the scenes with Mariko? Like, I mean, she's in this book for all of 4 panels, and they just keep showing these little glimpses of, as I described, of like Wolverine in the distance and her kind of like remembering what was. Like, any thoughts there?
I mean, I think it's probably the only part of the book that kind of makes sense, putting them in Japan and then kind of feeling like she has to appear in some way, shape, or form to remind you of like who she is and what her relationship is with Wolverine. And obviously I think that's the one thing that you have to take away even from what feels like a filler issue, is that if there's one thing you can universally agree on with Claremont, is that he tends to think very big picture when he writes stuff. So while in the moment certain things feel out of place, I mean, he's really, really good at like tying things up in the future.
Right. Right.
Planting that's seeds. The purpose of her appearances here is to open up a doorway to extend a storyline later.
Yeah. No, that's fair. We got Paul 619 in the chat. What's up, Paul? Sorry if I missed you. Sorry, I've been off on the chat a little bit, but some great comments. John, anything else to add with that, or any thoughts there? With
I love the gift game, How to Train Your Dragon.
Had to
so thank you to Tony. He gave her full name, and Chet mentioned that she does have connections to Wolverine's kind of solo stuff as a surrogate kid, but not an X-Men mutant. The little kid,
yeah.
I have zero recollection of that kid.
Okay,
so sorry that that went over my head, but yeah,
I had heard read, it was like a foster daughter.
Yeah,
of his.
basically, yeah.
Cool.
So yeah, that's it.
Okay, you recognize that GIF, right? With the guy with the radar?
Yeah, Austin Powers.
Oh yeah, I had to throw that in.
That's Clint Howard, Ron Howard's little brother.
Oh yeah. I actually didn't realize that.
He's in pretty much all of Ron Howard's movies at some point or another.
At the end here, as we wrap this issue up, by the way, it's not even 10 o'clock. So John, I don't know how this happened, but this issue was very I don't know, just
because you wanted to get through it. I get it. I understand.
Maybe I don't know. Chris, you're not talking nearly enough.
It's called
Chris
there's not enough in this issue to really talk about it.
That's why it was perfect to add the Secret Wars in here.
I'll just end up complaining about Secret Wars for another 30 minutes. This last 2 pages is probably the coolest part of the whole issue. That's it.
Yes.
You don't have to read anything. Just skip to this part where it says Washington D.C. and that's it. That's all you need to read.
Yep. Yeah, it's very true. For anyone who was like kind of trying to catch up or skim through certain things, this particular issue, these last pages are probably the most significant thing out of the whole issue, as Chris just mentioned. So yes, we get Washington D.C., we get Senator Kelly trying to get this bill essentially passed, and who's this other guy supposed to be? It's not Senator Kelly and
Philip? I don't know that I recognize
Philip something. I don't know who Phil. His name says Philip, the guy that's in the chair. But he essentially disagrees with whatever this idea is that Senator Kelly is trying to move along, and says that it's not far removed from legalized slavery. And this is something he's like, I respect you as a colleague, but just can't back you on the thought of what you're trying to get going.
Yeah.
Here. And then of course, as they throw the book down at the end, this whole scene, I just pictured this whole Anchorman scene where he's just like yelling Anchorman, not Anchor Lady. Yeah. So the federal bill says the Mutant Affairs Control Act, which if anyone knows Senator Kelly kind of already has an idea of where this is going where he's trying to take it. So John, I'll pass it over to you. Thoughts here on this seed, as we were talking, as Claremont continues to plant seeds.
I mean, I think this is like the juice, right? Claremont's clearly getting us back to priorities here. He's reconnecting us with where Wolverine is, where Cyclops is, the issues that Storm is having, and then dropping us into the Hornet's Nest, which is sort of this political situation that's going to be a bigger part going forward.
Right. We got Fable in the chat. Station, my friend. Good to see you, brother. Chris, thoughts here for you on this Washington D.C. stuff?
Pretty much what John just said. It's like, like I said, the whole rest of this book feels just kind of a throwaway, but now like you're getting back into building on a story. And I mean, we kind of know where this story goes. And for anyone who hasn't read these older books and then you open it, like the first time that I read this issue was like post seeing the X-Men movie. So like the original X-Men movie, and so it made a lot of sense. I was like, oh, that's cool. That's interesting. So you see like where stuff is kind of picked from, bits and pieces wise. So I thought that part was cool, but it makes you feel like the next issue is gonna, get back on track a little bit.
Yeah. I'm with you. Let's before we get into like kind of the money and all that stuff, we'll do just a wrap up. John, your final thoughts here on the issue as a whole, and how would you grade this issue?
I would not grade this very high. It's not a good issue. It's not a necessary or fundamental issue. It's not a particularly quality issue. It's definitely one of my least favorites. Score. I'll give it a 5/5. I'll give it a 5/5. That's where I'm at with this.
It's generous.
It feels like an editorial cut and paste, and Claremont's just got to make it work. And everybody's phoning it in just to make pieces. It's like you did a puzzle and there's a piece missing. And so somebody took a piece of paper and kind of cut and then you're just trying to wedge this thing in. Like it's about the right size. It's going to fit. And it's just annoying. You're just frustrated with the whole endeavor. There's a couple of good panels, a couple of good pieces, but overall, I realized as I was reading it why I had not read this issue a ton.
Yeah. I was kind of waiting for like some sort of little bit of a bigger payoff, but I never really had a chance to build up in anything. So, Chris, what about you? What are your overall thoughts on the issue, and how would you grade this?
It's a big pass. I don't think like it doesn't really have any rereadability. I think if we weren't doing a show on it, there would be to like you know what I'm trying to say? Like I just feel like
it wouldn't ever be mentioned otherwise.
You're sitting and reading the Omni, and it's not your first time reading it. I think you're like, oh yeah, this issue, and you kind of just like breeze through it and look at the pictures and then move on and say like, okay, 182. Here we go.
What kind of an asshole would do a show on this?
Yeah.
What kind of asshole would pick this issue for his
that was my follow-up question, Chris.
To be fair, I picked my date. Like I looked at my calendar and the dates were available. And I was like, yeah, I could do like this one or this one. And John was like, all right, I'll put you down for the 12th. And I was like, all right, cool. And then I looked at the issue I had to read, and I was like, damn,
sucker.
Yeah, I was late to the table. No wonder. There was only like 3 weeks left. The good issues got scooped up like real quick.
Give him the scraps, John.
You got to talk about Secret Wars.
Yes, I was gonna say that's definitely a highlight for me, is that it brought Secret Wars to the forefront of my curiosity and wanting to. Now I plan to finish reading through that. So there's definitely some really great stuff in Secret Wars. So for anyone else who hasn't read it like me and is considering it, I would definitely recommend it. It's not it's nothing fillery like this was, but So no, I'm with you guys. Definitely couldn't. Even now going through it again, trying to grasp at straws here of trying to make something of it. But there just really isn't enough there. As you said, Chris, we could flip through it. I feel like that's what I'll do if I ever come back to this and just see that DC moment and be like, oh, that's right, there's this issue with that. But yeah, so I saw Bobby throwing an 8.0 up there. I saw Chet giving it a 7.0. Props to you guys. You enjoyed it. It's great. I would probably be around the 5.5 range as well, which is probably our lowest one. But hey, it is what it is. All right, let's get into the numbers, and then we'll. It's only 10:04. We got like 3 hours, guys. So we can talk about all sorts of things.
We're gonna play that video a few more times. Don't worry.
Yes, yeah. So here's
we could do a full Secret Wars rundown at this point.
Maybe we should start with that next time. Okay, so the only thing I wrote here for key element was first appearance of Amiko, who was the foster daughter of Wolverine. From the way that this was described, I had thought that there was a lot more detail or story behind this character, and to what Chet and some of the others said in the chat, it seems like there is a little bit of a history there. But so there's that as far as key elements go. And then of course, numbers wise, there were no 9.9s, no 10.0s, but the 9.8s, there's plenty on the census. According to Go Collect, for CGC is 229, fair market value of just $95. I do not think I would spend $95 on a 9.8 of this, or even $55 on a 9.6.
Nope.
I would just prefer
Don't
a
do
lot
it.
of the other.
Don't do
Yeah.
it.
For
I mean, if someone had an 8.0 for this and they offered it me for $12 and I was hungry, it would be a tough decision.
It would be a tough decision.
You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it. Yeah. Let's see. JP said it's really a precursor to modern tie in the issue, pointless, annoying, and nothing important actually happens. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's fair.
But at least it had Cyclops, JP.
in his short shorts.
Yeah, we
And
did
the
get to
midriff
see
shirt.
the high
Yeah.
thighs there. Chet says these issues still haven't come close to meeting the Byrne Claremont standard. Just saying. I don't know, Chet. There obviously, yes, no, not this issue. But if you're talking like story, not just artwork, but story and everything, there's a couple that I really liked, at least so far, that we've gone through here. But I mean, I agree. It's not home run after home run. I understand that, but
I'm definitely on board with I'm unapologetically not a JR fan. I never have been. I don't think I ever will be. I think he fits into that category for me where you look at the stuff he's even drawing recently with Spider-Man and you're just like,
Yeah.
I just wonder to myself, and I'm not artistic, so I'm not trying to say this as like somebody who is good at an artistic craft, but if you've been drawing for 4 decades and there's no improvement in your drawing ability, it just makes me wonder, like, so you're okay with the fact that your art is just kind of blah?
I mean, Liefeld's getting better and better, right?
Don't start, John. I'm on the East Coast. It's too late for this. I can't. You should drive me to the bottle at 10 o'clock at night.
I don't know. Some of our regular viewers would argue it's not late enough on my channel right now for this show. Candace said, I'm not even spending $1 on this. She says, I have limited space. Yeah, you got to prioritize.
Yeah,
that's fair, Candace. If it weren't for the fact that I'm trying to collect all of Claremont's work on the main X-Men title, I don't think I'd own this either. But because that ties into that, I'll have a copy. I do have a copy somewhere. But all right, let's get into the questions here. We'll close this out. Appreciate everybody hanging. We got 16 people with us right now. Again, if you're not already following Chris, I Got Issues, his details are in the description below, as are John's. Make sure you're following him as well. I'm subbed up to his channel for next Tuesday as we're back for issue 182. But don't go away because
go ahead. JP, I made the same point. I feel like JR has gotten worse. I don't even think it's like stayed the same. I do think some of these early X-Men issues do not suffer from his like Daredevil era where it's everybody's face and head looks exactly the same. Like that Punisher Daredevil era that he's done, and then the stuff he's doing now for me is way worse than the stuff he did back in this era.
Chris, Tony said to keep you got to catch up. He's 3 drinks in.
Tony's already texting me because he's like, I'm on next week. Why don't we just do it tonight? We can just I'll just jump in and we'll just keep going. Let's do the next issue.
Then we'll definitely be up till 2 a.m. and really drunk probably.
I'm trying to cut down on my week night drinking.
Yeah. It's a bold goal.
Yeah. Well, plus end of December, beginning of January, that last week or so, you probably drink a month's worth of alcohol in like 4 or 5 days. So
it's true.
Pacing myself early in the month is important.
Smart man. All right. JP says 20 minutes on Secret Wars and Justin's show to question in less than an hour and a half. Is this real life? What is happening? That's what I'm saying, JP. I'm the man. I don't know what to say. All right. We're going to start with John. John, your first question.
Let's see here. So Wolverine and Colossus have a little, heart to heart, and they're talking about Kitty Pryde. What 2 items does Wolverine bring with him for this discussion? As a reminder, we look for the first 2 correct answers, and then Chris is going to look for an answer that entertains him because he's going to give somebody a raffle entry just for being entertaining.
Yeah, I totally do.
I was participating. Is that not allowed?
He was already typing and ready to go. Yeah, sorry, I totally did not explain the rules to anybody who is not familiar. Some great answers are coming through, though. Some really great answers. Just saying.
I'm gonna double check my answer because you got me questioning my.
No, yeah, I mean, no, I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah, I'm right. Okay.
Why?
Panties and a camera. That says Lefty Blues. Oh, dead. Dead. That was the winner.
JP says condoms and beer.
I mean, that's fair, but you're meeting Colossus. I mean, this could get really,
Ryan
really
says
strange.
A sandwich and a Diana Ross album.
That's a pretty good one.
Respectable.
So far, I think there's only one correct answer.
Pulling up trees and smoking. That's right.
And the funny thing is, one guy has it 3 times.
Sandwich and the magic backpack.
There you go.
The magic backpack.
So, beer and guilt.
Beer. Nice one, chat. Very nice.
Oh,
Albert says oil and rubber. Oil and rubber.
I'm going to stick with the answer I've got, and I'm just going to wait and see if anybody gets it.
And a pen.
Cease and desist and a pen. There you go. A beer and a number of an age appropriate girl. There you go. Woman. Yes.
Yeah. Cyclops, extra glasses and shorts. 62. All right, John, go ahead.
I'm just going to give it to Tony because I think it's a cigarette. I don't think it's a cigar. So
yes,
I think I'm just used to Logan having cigars. And,
right?
In my mind, I'm like, it was a cigar, but
even though Tony spelled it 3 times, I'm going to give it to him for the first one where he said beer and a smoke.
Yeah,
which
that's good.
Is close enough. But later he says beer and a cigarette, and then he said a beer and a cicada. It looked like.
I was wondering.
Sedate. But he got it. He got there in the end.
Tony 3 drinks in. That's what you get.
But there's a bunch of hilarious answers. Chris, did you like any one in particular?
Oh, wait. Is it just Tony? Was it just
Tony? Everybody else said it was a cigar.
All right.
So
I think panties in a camera is a pretty good one.
Was that 62? Yeah.
Meeting up with Colossus in the woods with a pair of panties and a camera for some
just
outdoor.
The bare necessities.
Yeah.
So Lefty with his first entry.
New YouTube channel. They're starting
the Colossus OnlyFans.
Out
there.
Do it.
That's a good one too, Ryan. That photo of Scott and Madeline.
Scott and Madeline.
The frails.
Oh goodness.
Yeah.
Chat
3.
on fire.
3. All right. So we got Tony and then we got 62. All right. My first question is where did Storm get into a fight? Where was her location? I'm looking for a location that the book mentions when she gets into a fight with a few gang members trying to protect an older couple. Where was that? Looking for a location.
One of those mud wrestle pits.
Spelling counts. John, the text that I sent you as the answer, I will accept 2 of those
4 words.
Nah,
you don't need the
Yeah, just 2 of the 3 words I will accept. 2 of the 3 words. Let me see. Let me refresh this here. Oh, okay.
I see lots of correct answers, I think. Yes. All right. First one up here. Craig. You're not getting one, Chris. I'm not giving you one. Adam. I was about to be like,
I wasn't on last week's episode.
This is the downside of being able to hang out with us tonight. You know? Out of all the joys.
There's a lot of downsides.
I'm getting punished here, man.
Yeah, the one downside with hanging out with us is this. Adam makes stuff up. You are correct, sir. The botanical gardens and
that says botanic.
Oh,
the botanic gardens.
Oh, you're right.
So it's Tony.
Yeah, no.
And JP.
Hey, you knew what he meant. It's pretty close.
I mean, his name. To be fair, his name is not Chet, and that's usually where we get. usually a requirement for
I
Chet.
love it.
All
right, so
let's
we're
let's
going
give it
Adam
a-
and Old
yeah.
Wolf.
He
Right.
said that spelling better be penalized.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, let me look at his name again. Hold on. Yeah, no, it's not Chet. It's not Chet. So it's good. It's good to go.
Yeah, you were like 5 off Chet anyways. Doesn't matter.
All right. So yeah, he was not getting anywhere close.
Way off. There's some great answers here too.
62's on fire. Yeah. On the corner of 53rd, and I'm gonna whoop that ass. Bobby says Walmart. Got in a fight at Walmart. I mean, that has happened, I'm sure.
It does. Yeah.
You know,
those Black Friday deals. You watch it.
I like the leather store. The leather store is a
oh,
good,
Ryan. Leather store.
Given her current,
Yeah.
It's
roller
for that
ring.
choker that she's got.
Yeah.
JP says the biker bar also could be accurate. White Castle restaurant. That'd be
nobody fights at White Castle.
Yeah, usually there's just a lot of happiness.
No, listen, if it's at a White Castle that's near the Bronx Botanical Gardens, everyone's fighting there.
Yeah, that's right.
It's a good one. It's a good one.
Bobby Delgado says the Waffle House. Good old Waffle
You guys
House.
got to stop mixing your fighting in your food.
Bobby says her cousin's wedding. The Adam and Eve store. Tony. Chris, any of these that you like the most?
I don't know if I can pick one. There's a few good ones. The Lego store.
Yeah,
feels like an attack on Justin over here.
Yeah.
I'm not grabbing a Lego.
Oh, come on, Johnny. You don't have a Lego in reach. Come on, I'm disappointed.
I mean, they're all within reach.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yo, I totally blanked before. You guys both had oh wait, what was that, Chris?
The Robbie Reyes car.
Yes.
Oh, nice.
So badass. I love that build.
And what was that one, John?
What?
Oh, that's yeah.
It's like one of the War Machine suits.
Right. And that shoots, right?
It shoots. I'm not firing guns this time, but yeah, lots of stuff.
They go everywhere. I forgot to comment. You guys were holding up your Doom action figures before. I totally meant to say something, and I was mid sentence there. But
always Doom ready.
Cool. That's cool. Oh yeah, this at first from further away I couldn't tell what that was, but yeah, those are great. Those little round ones. Very nice, very nice. All right. So we're giving that to Candace. Is that right? Okay.
I like that one. Lego store.
Okay. All right, John, back to you for the third question.
All right. The issue began with Xavier looking boss in his short shorts playing basketball. In his mind, who is he comparing himself to? Who did Xavier compare himself to? Holy crap. I didn't even finish the question.
I just look up. I picture like Chris's hands being up here and just like wait, he's not even texting. How did he? How did he get?
Well, I don't know who's Jabari. Kareem Abdul-Jabari.
Hey, it's a typo, man. You know what I meant, you guys.
Oh, so good.
I mean, to be fair, his name also is not Chet.
Will I accept the full name or the short name?
Oh, yeah, that's
Yul Brenner compared himself to Storm. Jason White Chocolate. He is White Chocolate.
Alvarez.
I was shocked that I know who that is. I'm gonna give it to Candace for spelling the whole thing out and getting it perfect.
All right, look at that.
So there you go, Candace. Ooh. I'm going to also give it to Chet for writing Lou Alcindor. So there you go. Chet gets one as well. Just going a little bit further.
All right.
We got Woody Harrelson from White Men Can't Jump.
Woody Harrelson can't jump either.
He pictures that he's Peter Dinklage. That's good. Diana Ross had to do it. Somebody had to do it.
Yeah. Gotta have some Diana in there.
Anyone else who successfully dribbles their balls.
Yeah, that's
well played, Ryan. All right, any of those? What do you like there, Chris?
Yul Brenner. All
The
the
old
way.
brother.
Yeah, the old brother. All of it.
Congrats, Lefty, coming in strong tonight.
Guy's on fire.
Yeah,
All right.
he is.
Last question here. Of
He's
the
really
evening.
owning the fact that he has no clue what the right answer is.
But he, like, every year 62 comes in and he gets his name on the list like
Yeah.
several times. I mean, that's the fun thing about this, right? You got a shot. All you need is one.
You don't even need to read the books.
Right. What was Colossus doing during his discussion with Wolverine? Which we kind of already mentioned a little bit, but in last issue, what was Colossus doing in his discussion with Wolverine?
Everyone's just like, hey, just copy whatever issues types in the chat.
Give
I erased it right away.
Yeah.
I was like, no, I'm not playing anymore if I can't get any points.
Well, the first one, I thought you were trying to throw people for a curveball when you put cigar, because everyone started putting cigar.
I know everyone. I really thought in my head, like, I remembered him smoking, and I really thought it was a cigar.
You had a 50-50 shot. You were yeah.
It was fair.
I knew it was a beer, and then I was like, pretty sure he was smoking a cigar.
Let's see.
There's some interesting spelling.
Let's see. Candace started. Let me go back to the top here. Candace is not listening.
That's what he was doing.
Which is probably not too far off. Let's see. Polishing his pole, 62. Probably not far off. God, JP. JP. Let's see. Albert. Yep.
Oiling his steel.
I'm sure he has to do that from time to time. Roller skating, like he's the Disco Dazzler.
The backwards, like roller skate, right?
Oh yeah. Bobby says having fun. I like it.
Colossus never has fun.
Putting handcuffs on Deadpool. Sure, it wouldn't be the first time. A lot of that.
There's a lot of those jokes happening.
And
yeah, it got very inappropriate very fast.
Imagining an optic blast taking Wolvie's head off. Brutal. Bobby says thinking. Pretty straightforward. I like it. As far as correct answers go, let me scroll back to the top here. All right, we're gonna give it to Chet. I'm sorry, JP. And let's see, did Chet spell this right? I don't know.
Chopping tree one-handed.
It should be capital C, and there's no period. All right, well, we'll give it to him. Let's be lenient here.
All right.
Chet, don't say we never did anything for you. So JP and Chet, we will give the correct answers to. Chris, anyone there that you like as the most funniest or entertaining question? Ryan says he's rushing into things. Ryan,
I mean, I feel like I gotta give it to JP. Having inappropriate thoughts about underage girls.
Yep.
Both funny and very accurate.
And accurate. Yeah, you can't argue that. Yeah. There it is. All right. JP's on the board. Man, look at that. We're not even at the hour and a half mark. We even played another video in this stream.
We did.
And talked about a 12-issue miniseries, and somehow Chris, I hope you don't feel robbed.
I feel somewhat to blame. I'm sorry that I couldn't.
No, it's not your fault. It's not your fault. I hope
write
you don't
this
feel
issue.
robbed. That's all. Yeah,
you only get so much milk out of an almond. You know?
That's right.
That's true.
We'll have to have you back on at some point here, maybe sooner than later. We'll see if
who has 182 next week.
Old Wolf.
Tony.
Sorry, Tony. We're about to start 182.
Just get in here. I gotta make the slideshow fast.
Yeah. So just want to take a moment to thank our guest Chris. As always, man, great to hanging out with you and seeing you. Hope everything's well with family and everything. So we appreciate you jumping on board here for the Omni X-Men show.
Thank you.
Of course,
that man cave's looking awesome,
dude. It's really
it's coming along, man. The rest of it is pretty messy, and there's a lot of wall space that needs to be.
But we don't know that. It looks so clean right now.
Yes,
it's coming along well, man. I'm pretty excited. So
I remember the days when Issues was like really involved with the YouTube community, and he was like on with Alec at one point White Whale Comics, and like your wall was like completely blank, and I think you were like talking about Giant Size X-Men or something like that, or it's like one of the few memories I have of when you were first going on. But I just remember your wall. You've changed certain backgrounds. And, oh, go ahead.
Every time Bueller sees him, he's like, "Isn't that the guy that wore a panda head?"
Oh well, yeah, the panda head is
Villa John Stream.
Yes, the panda head, definitely.
I sure did.
Yeah,
my claim to fame is,
Bueller's never gonna forget it.
Bathroom break in a panda mask.
This is like the good old like OG YouTubers.
And then I used to drink beer through the
eye hole. Yeah,
of the mask because it was the only place I could get like liquid through.
I remember you kept had like wars on like Instagram with that guy Hulk Nuts a long time ago.
Oh yeah, man.
You guys would
know
joke
what's
around
so funny about that? I know he's not I don't know if he still watches stuff, but I still talk to Joey from time to time. And believe it or not, he's actually a comic shop owner now.
Oh really? Oh wow.
So in I don't know
Central Cali, right?
Turlock.
Okay.
I don't know how close that is to you.
No, it's pretty far north. It's like in between LA and San Francisco.
Okay, so yeah, it's literally it's called Turlock Comics, and I think him and another Marine vet co-own it, and he owns his own comic shop now, and they actually specialize a ton in like tabletop gaming. So, but yeah, Joey, quite the character. John knows very well, quite the character, but dude, such a good internally. A very good dude, and very happy for him that he's still doing the comic stuff, just in a different way than he was. That's
awesome.
Nice.
So if you're in Turlock, California, go check out Turlock Comics and tell them that the Panda sent you.
Yeah. There you go. Reach out to Hulk Nuts. Yeah, it's been a long time. Cool. Well, again, if you guys aren't following Chris, make sure you do so. Put his information in the description below. Reminder, we will be back over on John's channel next week for 182, along with Tony Oldwolf 65 as our guest. And as another brief heads up, after that, we are going to take a little holiday break and then go into the new year. So just, we'll talk more on that. John, you can remind the folks when we get there, but just wanted to mention it here. But other than that, I think we're good to go. If you missed that 60-second video from earlier, go over on John's channel. He just posted it. So otherwise, we'll catch you. We're going to have another one. Oh, yeah, we have one more for Christmas. All right. Hitting the end stream button. Everybody have a great night. Peace.